Hello, everyone. Today I want to share a TED Talk that struck me as a powerful illustration of how nonverbal communication is central to everything we do, even when we think communication is all about words. The talk is called Our Power Without Words by Matthew Stenstrud. In that talk, Stenstrud argues that speech is only part of human communication and that the nonverbal aspects of how we communicate, our posture, facial expressions, eye contact, tone, and gestures, carry a tremendous amount of meaning. He calls attention to how teachers, parents, friends, or colleagues communicate far more than they intend by their nonverbal cues, and how tuning our awareness to that silent channel can improve relationships, reduce misunderstandings, and strengthen influence. This talk connects directly to our study of communication in several ways. From our textbook, we know that communication is not merely the transmission of verbal message, but is a complex, symbolic, and multimodal process. Concepts like the symbolic nature of communication, nonverbal codes, paralanguage, and contextual meaning are all relevant here. Stenstrud's message echoes the idea that nonverbal codes often fill in the gaps where words are ambiguous or insufficient. We also talk in class about listening and feedback, and his talk suggests that sensitivity to nonverbal cues is part of being a good listener. Finally, the concept of misunderstanding or noise is relevant. Nonverbal signals may introduce noise or distortion if they contradict what the speaker is saying in words. Who is Matthew Stenstrud? He is an educator and a speaker. While he may not be a household name in communication studies, his background as a teacher gives him direct insight into daily human interactions, especially with children and students, where nonverbal cues matter deeply. His real-world experience working in classrooms and guiding students gives credibility. He sees firsthand how tone, eye contact, posture, and expressive presence affect engagement, trust, and connection. And that perspective comes through clearly during his talk. The main idea of his talk is that communication is never just verbal. We possess real power without words, and that power must be acknowledged, refined, and aligned with intention. His purpose is to make us more conscious of how much we communicate nonverbally, and more intentional and disciplined in doing so. How does he achieve that purpose? He uses vivid examples drawn from his classroom experience, moments when a student reacts to a teacher's tone or posture, even when the words were gentle. He shows how nonverbal mismatches often lead to distrust or confusion. He invites reflection and awareness rather than heavy academic theory, which helps the talk feel personal and applicable. He uses radical contrast, repetition, and emotional resonance to enforce his points. He also asks the audience to observe their own nonverbal habits going forward, making the talk interactive in the mind of the viewer. By watching this talk, a person can gain greater awareness of how powerful nonverbal signals are and begin to develop more deliberate control over posture, gesture, tone, and presence. The communication concepts become more concrete, no longer abstract chapters about nonverbal codes or paralanguage, but something that you can feel and see in everyday life. There are direct applications in job interviews, teaching, counseling, sales, leadership, friendships, anywhere you need to build trust and clarity. For instance, someone might realize that although the words say, "I'm open," their closed arms or slumped shoulders are sending the opposite message. This talk also prompts intriguing follow-up questions. For example, to what extent are nonverbal signals culturally determined, and how do we adjust in cross-cultural communication? How much can people consciously control their body language before it becomes unnatural? How does the digital era, with video calls or text-based communication, affect our nonverbal power? Could we develop training or exercises to align verbal and nonverbal channels more consciously? So that is the talk I'd recommend, Our Power Without Words by Matthew Stenstrud. I believe it brings alive many of the communication theories in our class, especially those about nonverbal codes, meaning beyond words, and the richness of human interaction. I hope you'll find it inspiring and applicable in your own communication practices. Thank you.